Great big tech companies have invested in AI in the last 2 years, thousands of dollars. A number so absurd that it's hard to even report. But I'll help you visualize it. This amount is equivalent to more than twice the entire federal budget of Brazil. Health, education, infrastructure, social security, everything. Twice as much invested in technology that, according to the very people investing, may not deliver the promised return. And the question no one is asking out loud is, when that bill comes due and who's going to pay? Spoiler alert, it won't be Zuckerberg. It won't be Sam Altman. It won't be some CEO in a suit appearing on a magazine cover saying, "Hey, I will change the world." It's going to be you, one way or another, directly or indirectly. This bill is already coming due in your pocket. Most people haven't even realized it yet. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how this scheme works, the ways in which this loss reaches you, and what you can do before it's too late. If you've never heard anyone say this directly and honestly, without beating around the bush, this channel is the place for you. Subscribe now and hit the bell icon too, because the upcoming videos are part of a series you'll want to watch from beginning to end. But before I show you how this affects you, you need to understand the magnitude of what's happening, because without understanding the scale, it's easy to think I'm exaggerating. It is not. In the United States alone, $285.90 billion was invested in artificial intelligence by the beginning of 2026. In 2024, that figure reached $109 billion in a single year. To give you an idea of what this number means in practice, with this money, Brazil could build more than 5,000 medium-sized public hospitals or finance the Bolsa Familia program for more than 15 years, or provide decent housing for every family currently on the waiting list for Brazilian housing deficit. There would still be change left over. This money didn't fall from the sky. It came from somewhere. It came from investment funds. It came from pension funds. It came from technology ETFs that millions of people around the world, including Brazilians, have in their retirement portfolios without really knowing what's inside. It came from the inflated valuation of companies that are worth what they are today because the market believes that AI will deliver a return proportional to the investment. And then comes the part that makes my hair stand on end. Mark Zuckerberg, one of the richest men on the planet, has publicly stated without any shame that if Meta loses a few $100 billion in AI, that's okay. Oh God, I want you to stop for a second and think about this. Hundreds of billions of dollars. Okay. Okay for whom? Mark, for you, with a personal fortune in the $200 billion range. It's certainly okay, but the money that's going to be lost isn't just his money. It's pension fund money. It's retirement money. It's the money that ordinary people have put into a retirement plan for years, thinking they were doing the right thing. And it doesn't stop there. Sam Altman himself, CEO of OpenAI, the company that created ChatGPT, the ultimate symbol of all this hype, openly admitted that people are going to overinvest and lose money in this AI race. Let me repeat, the guy who profits the most from the AI hype admitted that some people are going to lose money, but he continued working on the project. He continued raising capital. He continued selling the dream. Because for him, even if the bubble bursts, the profit has already been made. When it bursts, you're the one who absorbs the loss, but I still haven't shown you exactly how this loss affects you. And it's closer than you think. There are 3 main ways in which this AI bill is already knocking on your door. I'll show you each one. First step, your electricity bill. This is something people don't talk about. The data centers that run AI, the giant warehouses full of servers that process every question you ask. ChatGPT, every image you generate, every search that Google processes with AI, these data centers consume an absurd amount of electricity and water to cool the equipment. In 2024, the demand for data center services grew by 690%. 690%! In a single year. This is putting pressure on the global energy matrix. It's creating competition for energy in entire regions. And in Brazil, which already has one of the most expensive electricity rates in the world relative to the average income of the population. This effect directly impacts your bill. It's no coincidence that electricity bills remain high even when the government announces measures to try to curb them. There's a new, enormous, invisible demand competing for the same energy you use to power your refrigerator and shower. Second option, your money is already in there and you probably don't know it. If you have private pension plans, if you have an investment fund, if your employer offers a supplementary retirement plan, there's a real chance that some of your money is invested in companies like Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Amazon. These are the companies at the center of the AI hype. They are the ones trading at historic valuations, largely because the market believes that AI will multiply their profits in the coming years. While the hype builds, it seems like your fund is doing well. The statement comes in positive. You're satisfied, and you keep investing. But when the bubble corrects, and every hype cycle in history does correct, that value disappears from your bank statement, not the CEO's statement. Yours. Most people have never read the regulations of the fund where they keep their retirement savings. You don't know which companies make up the portfolio. You don't know how much of their assets are exposed to the American technology sector. They are in a position they didn't consciously choose, in a market they don't follow, in a cycle that is about to turn. Third option, your job. And this one is the cruelest of all, because it doesn't even depend on you having investment. It only depends on you working. Brazilian companies are already using AI as justification for layoffs, hiring freezes, and pressure for increased productivity. And the important detail is this: it doesn't matter if AI actually delivers on its promises. What matters is that the CEO can use the AI argument to cut costs. Now, shift the burden onto the worker now and explain to the shareholder that they are modernizing operations. AI became a cheap excuse for the decision that the manager wanted to make anyway. I read a comment that really stuck with me while I was researching for this video. Someone wrote, "My bosses are trying to replace me with AI, with absurd force. The fear and uncertainty are awful." This is not paranoia. This is real. It's happening now, in Brazil, in sectors you wouldn't imagine would be in this situation. And what's worse, the people being pressured often don't even know they have a defense. The AI that the boss is promising frequently doesn't work anywhere near as advertised. But wait, because now I'm going to show you something that the executives using this rhetoric definitely don't want you to know. By the way, if you've made it this far and this makes sense to you, leave a like now. Help the video reach more people who need to hear this. And comment below. Did you already suspect you had money exposed to the AI bubble without knowing it? Tell me. Now I need to stop here for a second and talk to you directly. If you're watching this video and feeling something, a mix of anger, helplessness, a sense of, I knew something was wrong but I couldn't name it, I want you to know, you're not exaggerating. You're not being a kid. You're not being negative or that annoying friend who only sees problems. What you're feeling has a name. It's called privatizing the profits and socializing the losses. When the bet pays off, the billionaire pockets the money. The investment fund hits its target. The CEO receives a multi-million-dollar bonus. The majority shareholder sees their net worth triple when the bet goes wrong. And at some point, it does. What happens? It turns into a crisis. Crisis turns into instability. Instability turns into higher interest rates. Higher interest rates turn into more expensive credit, heavier financing, and scarcer jobs. And then, suddenly, you enter the story. Not as a protagonist, as a payer. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a script that has already repeated itself at least twice in our generation. In 2000, it was the dot-com bubble. Everyone thought that any company with "com" in its name was going to change the world. Valuations skyrocketed. Stocks rose illogically. And when reality set in, when it became clear that most of these companies didn't have a viable business model, the collapse was brutal. Those who were inside lost everything. In 2008, it was American banks betting on toxic mortgages as if they were gold. When the bubble burst, the banks were bailed out with public money. The American taxpayer footed the bill, and the collateral damage reached Brazil, reached the whole world, reached the lives of people who had never heard of derivatives or subprime mortgages in their lives. Today, experts who follow this market are openly saying that what AI is promising and what it actually delivers is the greatest since 2008. I'm not saying that technology has no value. I'm saying that the hype is decades ahead of reality. And when hype and reality collide, the impact isn't confined to billionaires. He goes down, and you're the one below. Now I'm going to show you the evidence. And this evidence didn't come from financial bloggers. It didn't come from pessimistic YouTubers. It came from within, from research, from consulting firms, from the CEOs themselves. I'm going to present you with 4 pieces of evidence. 4 concrete pieces of proof that the AI hype has no solid foundation and that the people inside the scheme already know this. Keep this information in mind, because most people who will discuss this subject with you in the coming months won't have access to it. Proof number 1. The study that shook Silicon Valley. In June 2025, Apple, yes, Apple, not a group of forgotten academics at a public university, published a study that caused a silent earthquake in the technology sector. The study had a simple and devastating conclusion. Artificial intelligence does not reason. It recognizes patterns. It seems subtle, but the difference is enormous. When you ask an AI to solve a math problem it's seen before, it does well. It seems impressive. It seems intelligent. But when researchers took the same problem and changed only the wording, swapped the names, changed the context, presented it from a different angle, its performance plummeted. The AI froze. It made mistakes. It couldn't adapt. Do you know why? Because she wasn't thinking. She was copying. She was recognizing a pattern she had seen before and repeating the response associated with that pattern. When the pattern changed, she had nothing to do. This is crucial because trillions of dollars have been invested based on the promise that AI would reason, solve complex problems, replace highly skilled professionals, and revolutionize entire industries. And what Apple has demonstrated with scientific rigor is that this promise has a very serious limit, a limit that the industry wasn't publicizing with the same enthusiasm with which it publicized success stories. When the narrative is convenient, it appears everywhere. When the narrative hinders valuation, it ends up in an academic paper that nobody reads. Proof number 2. The failure statistics that companies don't announce. While CEOs appear on stage at Davos talking about digital transformation and the future of humanity, what's happening behind the scenes at companies that have actually tried to implement AI is quite different. A study by MIT released in 2025 showed that 95% of artificial intelligence projects within companies failed to deliver measurable financial return. 95%. For every 20 AI projects implemented in companies, 19 did not pay for the investment. But it doesn't end there. A study by S&P Global, one of the world's largest and most respected financial consultancies, revealed that by 2025, 42% of companies will have abandoned their AI initiatives. They've given up. They've thrown in the towel. That number was 17% the previous year. In other words, the abandonment rate more than doubled in a single year. The companies that were testing the technology in practice away from the conference stage, away from the TV camera, were reaching the same conclusion. It's not working as promised. Meanwhile, the money kept flowing in. Funds kept investing. Stocks kept rising. Because the financial market doesn't need technology to work in order to go up. It needs people to believe that it will work. When belief and reality become too far apart, the market corrects itself. It always has, and correction is never gentle. Goldman Sachs, an investment bank, not exactly known for being pessimistic or conservative, published what became known internally as the $600 billion question. Will all this investment in AI ever generate a proportional return? The answer that Goldman himself suggested was, probably not. Not at the current pace, not with the current technology, not with the applications that exist today. When Goldman Sachs publishes a report with this conclusion, It's not pessimism. It's a warning sign. Proof number 3. The game's owners themselves admitting what is happening. This is where things get really interesting. Because you might say to me, this is all outside analysis from someone who isn't inside the market. Okay, then let's hear from those who are inside. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, the company that literally created the product that became the symbol of all this hype, publicly stated, "People are going to overinvest and lose money." He said it in those exact words. And then he went on to raise billions in capital. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon and one of the richest men on the planet, described the current AI investment environment as an industrial bubble. Bubble. The word the financial market hates to hear most, uttered by one of the world's greatest investors. The CEO of Goldman Sachs stated that he expected to see a lot of capital being spent without a proportional return in the AI sector. Let me ask a simple question. If the people who profit the most from this hype are saying this publicly, what are they saying privately? What's written in internal emails, board meetings, conversations that the camera doesn't capture? When an insider publicly admits there will be a loser, you need to ask, will that loser be him or will it be you? Race number 4, the official map of the hype cycle. There's a company called Gartner. It's one of the world's largest technology consulting firms and is known, among other things, for a model called the hype cycle. It's basically a map that shows how every new technology goes through predictable phases. It's born, explodes with enthusiasm, reaches a peak of inflated expectations, and then plunges into a valley of disillusionment before eventually reaching a level of real maturity. This model has existed since the 1990s. It mapped the dot-com bubble. It mapped the virtual reality hype. It mapped blockchain. And every time a technology hit the trough, those who had money invested at the peak felt it in their wallets. By the end of 2025, Gartner officially classified generative artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, all those tools that dominated the headlines as being in the valley of disillusionment, officially. With methodology, with data. It's not a YouTuber speaking. It's the consulting firm that the world's largest companies pay dearly to listen to, saying, the peak is past, reality has set in, and now comes the correction. The question isn't whether the correction will happen. The question is whether you'll be prepared when it does. From here on out comes the part that really matters to you. Enough with the diagnosis. Let's talk about action. Before I tell you what you can do, I need to be very clear about one thing. What I'm going to share here is financial education. It's not investment advice. I'm not your advisor. I don't know your specific financial situation, and every decision you make needs to take your reality into account. What I'm going to show you are moves that conscious investors are considering in this scenario. Moves that most people never hear about because nobody is interested in telling you. For movements. Simple, concrete, actionable. Step number 1. Audit your retirement and pension funds now. This is the step that most people ignore, yet it makes the biggest difference. Most people have some form of retirement savings plan, whether it's a PGBL, VGBL employer-sponsored pension fund, or even a multi-market fund where they keep their emergency reserve. And most of these people have never read the fund's regulations. The regulations specify exactly which assets the manager can invest their money in. And many of these funds have exposure to shares of American technology companies, directly or through What you need to do is simple. Access your brokerage or bank's portal, open the fund's regulations or prospectus, and look for names like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, Amazon. If these names appear with significant weight in your portfolio, you have exposure to the AI hype, and you need to consciously decide whether you want to maintain this position or not. This doesn't mean rushing out and withdrawing everything tomorrow. It means making a decision with information, not in ignorance. Because the difference between those who exit at the right time and those who absorb the loss almost always lies in who knew what they had in their portfolio. Move number 2. Diversify beyond the technological narrative. Look, I'm not telling you to abandon technology. I'm telling you not to concentrate everything on a single market narrative Because every bubble in financial history has one thing in common. At its peak, it seems like there's no reason to invest in anything else. The dominant narrative sucks up all the capital, all the attention, all the logic. That's how it was with internet companies in 2000. That's how it was with the American real estate market in 2008. That's how it was with cryptocurrencies in 2021. When a narrative dominates everything, the risk of concentration becomes invisible. You don't feel like you're betting because everyone around you is doing the same thing. But concentration is concentration, regardless of how many people are concentrated along with you. Sectors like energy, basic sanitation, healthcare, and commodities have a proven track record of resilience during correction cycles. They aren't glamorous, they don't make headlines, but when the technology market corrects by 40%, 50%, 60%, as has happened before, these sectors tend to show much greater stability. Diversification is not pessimism. It's the basics of risk management that the wealthy practice and rarely teach to those who aren't private bank clients. Step number 3, protect income before protecting capital. This one is most important for those who are more afraid of losing their job than losing their investment. And that's exactly the profile of those who watch this type of content the most. If your main threat today is the narrative of AI being used as an argument to cut your job, there's no point in optimizing your investment portfolio if your main income is compromised. Protected capital with zero income is a problem. The smartest move in this scenario is to build a second source of income before you need it. It doesn't have to be large. It doesn't have to solve everything, but having an additional income, however small, completely changes the power equation in negotiations with an employer, in an unexpected layoff, or during a transition period. Freelancing, consulting in your area of expertise, monetizing your knowledge, providing services. There are many paths. The key is to start building now, while your job is still secure, and not wait for an emergency. Those who build a second income stream during a crisis have already lost. Those who build before the crisis arrive at it with options. Step number 4, learn to recognize hype cycles. This is the most valuable investment you can make, and it doesn't cost any money. It costs attention. Every hype cycle in financial history has a similar anatomy. There's the birth phase, where few know about it, and the enthusiasm is genuine. There's the acceleration phase, where the media finds out and the money starts flowing in. There's the peak, where the hype has reached its maximum, and anyone who questions it is called old, cowardly, or out of touch with the future. And then there's the turning point, silent at first, noisy at the end, where reality knocks on the door and the valuation collapses. .com in 2000. This time, it's different. It's the new economy. Subprime in 2008. The American real estate market never crashes. Crypto in 2022. It's the future of money. Those who don't buy will regret it. Each cycle has its own version of the phrase, "This time it's different." And every time that phrase appears in full force in the media, in barbecue conversations, in hallway chats, it's a sign that the peak is near. With AI, the current version of the phrase is, "Those who don't adopt it will be left behind." It's everywhere, on LinkedIn, on TV, in company meetings. I'm not saying AI has no future. I'm saying the price being paid today for the hype is far beyond what current technology justifies. And those who learn to read these cycles can navigate without being the last person to bear the brunt of the losses when the music stops. If this video is opening your mind, I need a favor from you. Leave a like now, not for the algorithm, although it helps a lot, but because this type of content needs to reach more people before it's too late. And comment below, did you already know that you could have money exposed to the AI bubble in your retirement fund? Open your statement and tell me what you think. So, let's go back to the question I opened this video with. Real. 6 trillion invested in AI. When the bill comes due, who pays? You already know part of the answer. It's the electricity bill that's putting pressure on you. It's the retirement fund that's carrying the brunt of the exposure. It's employment that becomes an argument for layoffs before the technology even works properly. You already know enough to be different from most people who will be caught off guard. But there's a side to this story that I haven't told you yet, and it's the most important one, because every bubble that bursts in history hasn't only created losers, it has also created winners. It has created people in sectors that were positioned on the right side when the turnaround happened, who bought what was cheap after the collapse, who invested in the picks and shovels, in the tools that everyone will need, regardless of which AI company survives. In the next video, I'm going to show you exactly which sectors and asset types tend to benefit when a tech bubble bursts, and how the average investor can be on the right side this time, instead of being late again and paying the price for those who got there first. It's not about rooting for a crisis. It's about understanding the game clearly enough not to be the last to know when the game changes. If you've made it this far, you're already different from most people. Most people don't question. Most people accept the hype because it's easier than investigating. You investigated along with me for a few minutes, and that already puts you in a better position than 90% of the people who will be affected by this cycle without understanding why. And before we wrap up, leave an honest comment below. Are you already unknowingly exposed to AI in your investments? Open your retirement fund statement, look at the portfolio composition, and tell me what you find. These comments help me understand what you need me to explore in more detail in future videos. The video that's currently playing on the screen might be another way to help you with your financial issues. Click on it and find another way to have more security in your finances. Go ahead, and we'll see you soon.